You keep telling yourself you need more money, but what you really need is peace. You have been hypnotized into believing that the next raise, the next client, the next leap in your bank balance will finally unclench the tension in your chest. But deep down, you know the truth. The voice that wakes you at 2 a.m. is not asking for dollars. It is asking for oxygen. You are not suffocating from a lack of money. You are suffocating from a lack of inner stillness. You live in a time when men do not rest. They scroll. They chase. They compare. They listen to podcasts while they work, and then videos while they eat, and then audiobooks while they clean, and then short-form clips until their brain burns behind their eyes. The world has turned noise into a full-time occupation. And in that noise sits the constant reminder that you are not enough yet. You do not have enough yet. You have not done enough yet. And so you panic quietly behind a polite face and steady hands. The modern man walks around like a high-functioning hostage. He is chained not by iron but by expectation. He thinks in metrics, net worth, salary, square footage, follower count, title. Meanwhile, his nervous system lives in a permanent flinch. Sleep becomes light and fractured. Attention becomes thin and irritable. Joy becomes conditional. He uses money as a substitute for safety, as if numbers on a screen could cradle the soul. Seneca wrote that poverty is not the absence of money, but the desire for more. The ancient mind understood something the modern mind has forgotten. The discomfort is rarely in the wallet, it is in the wanting. The friction is not between you and the market, it is between you and yourself. The wealth you chase is a projection of an inner void that remains unaddressed, and no number plugs a spiritual leak. Translate that to now. You think you want more income, but what you actually want is certainty. You think you want a bigger house, but what you actually want is relief. You think you want respect, but what you actually want is to stop feeling small when you are alone. The currency you are starving for is not financial, but psychological. Safety, control, enoughness, self-trust. That is why men with millions still grind like they are broke. They do not feel safe in their own mind. Money is a tool, it is not a sedative. It will magnify whatever you are. If you are restless, it will fund louder restlessness. If you are hollow, it will decorate a hollow room. If you are at war with yourself, it will buy you sharper weapons. Without peace, abundance becomes gasoline. You do not need more zeros, you need less inner turbulence. Today, begin with one enforceable practice. For 1 hour a day, do nothing that stimulates acquisition. No LinkedIn, no finance videos, no productivity content, no cataloging your future. Just sit, walk, breathe, write, stretch, or simply stare and allow your nervous system to decelerate. Your job in that hour is to remember that you already exist without performing. You are already a man before you earn. The system wants you always aroused by possibility and always afraid of falling behind. Opt out briefly on purpose. You will be shocked by the withdrawal symptoms. Your hand will twitch toward the pocket. Your brain will invent fake urgency. You will feel guilt for not hunting. That is how you know you have been domesticated by the chase. You are not choosing to pursue wealth. You are being compelled by anxiety to outrun emptiness. Peace exposes whether you ever had agency at all. Let this chapter land inside you like a blunt truth. The next time you say, "I need more money," finish the sentence honestly. I need more money so that I can feel safe, or so that I can feel worthy, or so that I can stop thinking about my failure. Then you will see the real battlefield. And once you see it, you can choose a different weapon. Peace is a weapon. Stillness is a weapon. A quiet mind is the first form of freedom. Do not wait until your heart is burned out and your face is aged by invisible strain. Do not wait until your child grows up calling you distant. Do not wait until your ambition mutates into paranoia. Start with the hour. Rehearse sufficiency while you are still unfinished. Practice feeling enough before life forces you to. Because when the cinematic music of your life swells in the final scene, you will not ask for a rewind to make more spreadsheets. You will wish you could come back here, to the moment before you traded your soul for your salary. So let this land. The bank may hold your money, but only you can hold your peace. You keep telling yourself you need more money, but you are already rich in the one currency that truly matters, time. You just spend it like a man who believes it will never run out. The cruel irony is that the more money you chase, the less time you feel you own. You exchange hours for digits, youth for comfort, freedom for the illusion of security. You were not born to manage spreadsheets of stress. You were born to feel alive. Every man in this age is haunted by a silent countdown. There is always something more to do, something more to buy, something more to prove. You look at your peers online, and it feels like everyone is moving faster than you. Their lives are sharp, curated, efficient. They have morning routines that look like movie trailers, offices that look like temples. You feel like a bystander to your own potential. You grind harder. You skip rest. You swallow the anxiety like fuel. And yet every night when the screen dims, you feel the same emptiness creep in. The world rewards the grind but forgets the cost, your peace, your health, your time. Technology was supposed to liberate you, but it enslaved you in subtler chains. Now every man carries a digital leash in his pocket. Every notification whispers, you could be doing more. Every influencer preaches discipline but sells dopamine. Productivity has become a religion, and the high priests were wireless microphones. The modern man doesn't need more information, he needs to remember how to feel. He is drowning in strategies for success while starving for stillness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." The Stoics didn't say this to frighten men, but to free them. They understood that the value of time becomes clear only when death feels close. You think you are chasing financial freedom, but what you really want is permission to live without fear. What you really want is to wake up and not feel like you are behind on your own life. So reframe the chase. Imagine wealth not as possession, but as permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to choose your hours. Permission to say no. The richest man is not the one with the most investments. It is the one who decides how his day unfolds. When you anchor your worth in money, you become enslaved by external conditions. But when you anchor your worth in presence, you become untouchable. Let me show you how that plays out in modern life. The man who earns $300,000 but hates every Monday is poorer than the man who earns $60,000 and wakes up excited. The man who owns 5 cars but never has time to drive them has lost something greater than cash flow. He has lost wonder. The man who spent his life chasing an income curve misses the invisible miracle that he was ever here at all. The market rewards movement. Life rewards meaning. Today's application is simple but powerful. Take one day this week and spend it like a billionaire of time. No agenda, no phone, no chase. Treat time as the rarest commodity and spend it lavishly on peace. Walk without tracking your steps. Eat slowly. Call someone you love and listen without glancing at the clock. Let your nervous system relearn the art of unmeasured time. When you do, you will notice something strange. Your hunger for money softens because you start to taste the freedom you thought money was supposed to buy. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. You will feel guilty for resting, unproductive for breathing. But peace always begins with discomfort. It's the withdrawal from the drug of control. You are detoxing from a world addicted to hustle. Let yourself go through it. The world will not collapse because you took a day off. In fact, it might finally make sense. Remember this truth. Wealth is not what fills your pocket. It's what empties your head of worry. Money buys space. Peace builds meaning inside that space. You can earn endlessly, but if your mind never stops running, you are sprinting on a treadmill made of gold, and you will still die tired. When the day closes, sit in silence for a moment. Reflect on how many moments you have traded for digits, how many sunsets you missed scrolling through goals. Let the weight of that realization humble you. You don't need to own the world. You just need to stop renting your peace to it. Because one day, the balance sheet of your life will be tallied, and time will have the final word. The question will not be how much you made, but how deeply you lived. The only true profit is peace. The only true loss is time. And right now, while you're still here, you have both in your hands. Spend them like they mean something. You keep telling yourself you need more money, but what you're really craving is control. Control over your life, your choices, your direction. You don't dream of luxury. Not really. You dream of waking up and doing what you want without asking for permission. But somewhere along the way, money became the symbol of that control. It became the chain disguised as freedom. Most men live under silent pressure. The pressure to perform, to provide, to appear composed while the inside shakes. You work jobs that drain you, smile through exhaustion, and scroll through other men's victories like they are indictments of your own worth. The weight of it sits heavy in your chest, the pressure to prove that you're doing fine, that you're succeeding, that you're in control. Yet every night when the noise fades, you feel the quiet panic of not knowing what it's all for. You mistake productivity for purpose and ambition for identity. You build your cage with currency and then wonder why you can't breathe inside it. The truth is, you don't actually want money, you want autonomy. You want to decide. You want to feel like you're steering the ship, not being dragged by the current. You want to live with intention, not obligation. But because money became the most visible measure of autonomy, you chase it like a drug, hoping the next paycheck will finally silence that inner tension. And every time it doesn't, you double the dosage. You work harder. You take less rest. You invest in things that glitter and drain. You confuse movement with progress. The samurai had a word for this, mushin, the mind of no mind. It is the state where the warrior acts without attachment, without fear, without the need to control outcomes. Miyamoto Musashi, one of Japan's greatest swordsmen, said, "The ultimate aim of martial arts is not having to use them." The same is true for money. The ultimate aim of wealth is not having to obsess over it. True mastery is not control through force. It is freedom from the need to control. In modern life, mushin means surrendering the illusion that more money will solve every insecurity. It means doing your work without letting the results define your peace. It means using money as a servant, not bowing to it as a master. You are not meant to live as a spreadsheet of anxieties, constantly calculating your value. You are meant to build a life that supports your spirit. Control is not the absence of uncertainty. It's the ability to remain calm within it. If you want to reclaim that calm, start with this practice. Audit your dependencies. Write down every part of your life that controls your peace. The job that drains you, the subscription that manipulates you, the social feed that convinces you to buy another identity. Then ask yourself, if I didn't have this, would I feel freer or lost? The honest answer will reveal who truly owns your life. Freedom is not about more options. It's about fewer compulsions. For 1 week, practice detachment in a small but symbolic way. Don't check your investment app. Don't calculate your savings. Don't mentally convert your time into potential earnings. For 1 week, live like a man who already has enough. Notice how your breath slows. Notice how conversations deepen. Notice how the world feels less like a race and more like a rhythm. That's peace, the kind you can't buy. It doesn't mean you stop caring about your future. It means you stop worshiping it. It means you stop treating money as the antidote to fear. Money can't fix fear. It only hides it. The man who fears losing it is still a slave, no matter how full his wallet is. But the man who has learned to detach, to work diligently, to plan wisely, and yet sleep peacefully regardless of outcome, that man has discovered real wealth. The kind that follows you into every room because it lives inside you. The world wants you anxious. The economy runs on your restlessness. The algorithm profits from your unease. But you can't serve both peace and panic. You must choose. And choosing peace will always feel like rebellion. It will look like slowness in a world that glorifies speed. It will sound like silence in a world that screams success. But that rebellion is where your soul begins to breathe again. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I just need more money," pause. Replace it with, "I need less attachment." The minute you no longer need it to feel complete, you become untouchable. You work better, you live freer, and ironically, you attract more abundance because your energy is no longer desperate. You have shifted from chasing control to embodying it. And when that realization sinks in, when you finally understand that peace is the ultimate power, you'll see the world differently. You'll see that freedom isn't in the mansion, it's in a mindset. It's in waking up without the weight of fear. It's in knowing that you can lose everything and still remain whole. In the end, the real victory is not conquering the world, but mastering yourself. The man who can walk through uncertainty with peace, that man is wealthy beyond measure. Because while the world keeps telling itself it needs more money, he has already found the one thing everyone is chasing: control through surrender, freedom through peace. You keep telling yourself you need more money, but beneath that sentence is another one you never say out loud. You are tired of feeling vulnerable. Money in your mind is insulation. It is padding between you and humiliation, between you and regret, between you and being exposed as someone who still hasn't figured life out. You do not chase dollars, you chase armor. Modern men carry wounds that are invisible. No father spoke certainty into them. No mentor showed them how to stand still without collapsing inside. They entered adulthood with a silent terror. I must not fail, or I will not be loved, respected, or safe. So they work like machines. They turn their nervous system into a generator. They anesthetize with productivity because stillness forces them to confront how afraid they are. The pressure is constant. Bills, rent, expectations, timelines, relationships that are fragile because both people are exhausted. You swallow your fear with caffeine. You negotiate with dread. You pretend to be composed while your heart vibrates with unfinished anxieties. You are praised for functioning while burning, so you keep burning. There is no applause for men who rest, only suspicion. Rest looks like weakness in a culture that confuses tension with competence. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Notice what that implies. As wants shrink, vulnerability shrinks. A man who is content cannot be blackmailed by life. He cannot be bent by the market. He cannot be manipulated by fear of loss. The ancients understood something the modern male psyche forgets. True invincibility is built inward, not outward. Bring that into 2025 reality. The man who needs less is harder to control than the man who earns more. The man who can walk away sleeps deeper than the man who must hold on. The man who is rich in peace is richer than the man who must purchase silence with labor. When you chase money as a shield, you are accepting the premise that you are breakable. But when you build peace, you change the premise. You become immovable. If you want to begin shifting from financial armor to internal armor, start with this protocol. Identify one form of dependence you keep because it comforts your insecurity. Maybe it's the expensive car you cannot comfortably afford, the apartment you rent for status, the subscriptions that signal success, the dining out that buys the illusion of a lifestyle you haven't actually earned. Then ask plainly, do I own this or does this own me? If the answer is the latter, begin dismantling that dependency. One leak plugged is more powerful than $1 added. Next, practice voluntary discomfort. One deliberate fast from indulgence per week. One cold shower instead of warmth. One walk in silence instead of a screen. One moment of saying no to a temptation that makes you feel padded. Why? Because your spirit must relearn that it can survive without sedation. That you do not need the soft walls. That you are not fragile. Money loses its emotional grip when you stop outsourcing resilience to your purchases. Expect withdrawal. Your ego will scream. Your identity will protest. You have been conditioned to believe that comfort equals safety. It doesn't. Comfort is what dulls the blade. Peace is forged in clarity, and clarity is born in exposure. Let yourself feel exposed. You are not glass. You are iron you never tempered. When you stop needing money to feel buffered, you stop living like prey. You move through life with a different cadence, calmer, heavier, slower inside. You stop flinching. You stop negotiating your boundaries with your fear. You stop assuming that your safety depends on external numbers. Nothing is more dangerous to the world than a man whose peace is self-made. He cannot be moved by panic. He cannot be bought by illusion. He plays the game without being swallowed by it. So the next time you whisper, "I need more money," trace the sentence downward until you hit the real line. "I don't trust that I can endure without protection." Then answer it like a man who is tired of being held hostage by his own nerves. "I will become someone who can." That is the shift. That is the unshackling. You will discover that peace is not the reward at the end of achievement. Peace is the prerequisite that makes achievement clean instead of corrosive. Money multiplies whatever you are. Become someone who needs less, fears less, flinches less, and the money you earn will stop being armor and start being merely a tool. When the music swells at the end of your story, there will be no applause for how many layers you padded yourself with. The only question that will echo in the dark is whether you ever became unbreakable without them. Because the world can strip you of whatever you own, but if you have forged peace where no hand can reach, then nothing has ever really been able to take anything from you. You keep telling yourself you need more money because you believe that money will finally buy you the right to slow down. You imagine a future version of yourself, calm, spacious, unbothered, who reads in the morning sun, who walks without urgency, who works because he chooses to, not because he must. But here is the trap. If you do not know how to slow down now, you will not know how to slow down later. Rest is a skill. Peace is a practice state. Money does not build it for you. If anything, it will make the noise louder. The modern man has forgotten how to be idle. He is terrified of silence, terrified of downtime, terrified of facing his own unfiltered mind. So he fills every gap with stimulation, the feed, the inbox, the plans, the hustle. His mind has become an airport of arrivals and departures with no gate that ever closes. Even his free time is industrialized. He schedules relaxation like a board meeting and measures hobbies and metrics. The body sits, but the brain sprints. He tells himself the grind is temporary. That peace will come after the next milestone. But milestones are mirages. Every finish line turns into another starting gun. The busier he becomes, the more brittle his soul feels. Stress becomes his baseline identity. His hands know only clenching. His spirit knows only acceleration. He worships a future that will never arrive because the muscle of stillness was never trained. Lao Tzu wrote, "If you are at peace, you live in the present, not when you get it all together, not when the income stabilizes." Peace is not later. Peace is a location of attention. A man who does not know how to inhabit the present will never be able to inhabit wealth. Translate that truth to now. The chase does not steal peace later. It steals peace now, and once it erodes the neural grooves of calm, even success cannot refill them. That is why men who get rich often become more anxious, not less. They have no inner infrastructure for stillness. They spent years rehearsing tension. They taught their nervous system that safety is always in the future, never in the room they are standing in. And the nervous system obeys. If you want to build peace before profit, you must retrain your nervous system to stop living in tomorrow. Try this practice for the next 7 mornings. Before touching your phone, sit awake for 10 minutes and do nothing. Not meditation as a productivity hack. Not breathwork as a performance enhancer. Just raw existence. Let thoughts stumble through. Let discomfort crawl over you. Let boredom expose your addiction to stimulation. These 10 minutes are rehearsal for a life that is not dictated by external urgency. Then practice micropauses throughout the day. 1 breath before every answer. 1 blink of silence before every impulsive reaction. 1 full inhale before you check a notification. You are not pausing to be spiritual, you are pausing to weaken the reflex of speed. Peace is not mystical. It is mechanical. It is trained spacing. It is the ability to let a moment widen before you fill it with motion. Expect resistance. Your brain will hiss, do something. Move. Produce. Do not obey. Let that discomfort burn through you like a fever exiting the body. That discomfort is the withdrawal of a man detoxing from the addiction to urgency. And then reframe the core lie. Money is not what gives you permission to live slowly. Peace is what gives you permission to live correctly now, so that money arrives without costing your soul. Slowness is not the opposite of ambition. It is the foundation of poise. A man who can remain still can strike with precision. A man who never stops moving swings wildly and calls it productivity. So when you whisper again, "I need more money so I can rest," answer yourself truthfully, "No, I need to practice rest so money does not ruin me." That one inversion saves a life. Because at the end, when the score of your life swells and the light fades from the scene, you will not regret the dollars you never chased fast enough. You will regret that you never learned to sit inside your own life while it was happening. The tragedy is not dying broke. The tragedy is living rich in noise and dying without ever touching peace. You keep telling yourself you need more money. But what you truly need is a life you are not trying to escape from. You think wealth will fix your soul because you have never seen peace modeled by anyone around you. You saw men grind, you saw men fracture, you saw men keep score, but you rarely saw a man who was both capable and calm, both ambitious and anchored, both driven and inwardly quiet. So you misinterpreted the assignment of life. You assumed the point was accumulation instead of alignment. Your nervous system has been trained to serve a future you might not live to see. You deny yourself softness now, believing strength is forged only in strain. You starve your spirit of stillness because you fear falling behind. You work in a mode that feels like survival even when you're not in danger. You have spent so long in anticipation that you no longer know how to inhabit an actual moment without converting it into utility. The world praises this sickness. Every app, every feed, every culture of hustle rewards the anxious achiever, the man who never stops, the man whose spine is coiled like wire, the man who treats his life like a pitched deck. You can be applauded all the way to the grave while never once experiencing the thing you were chasing in the first place. Relief? Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Strip the mysticism away, and the truth remains unchanged. You cannot outsource your nervous system to your net worth. If the inside is burning, the outside cannot cool it. If the mind is untrained, no environment will tame it. If you do not cultivate quiet when you are small, you will only amplify panic when you grow. Now bring the lens forward. Imagine you doubled your income this year, then doubled it again. Ask honestly, would that erase your unrest, or would it merely raise the stakes? Would you finally relax, or would your new identity demand even more armor, more protection, more vigilance? A man who tries to outrun his inner noise with external success ends up rich and restless, and that is not victory, it is disfigurement in a suit. So here is the final discipline. Begin living like a man who is already enough before any metrics declare it so. Not to fake confidence, but to build sovereignty. Every day, choose one behavior that signals sufficiency. Decline a grind task that comes from fear. Choose simplicity over optics. Walk without headphones. Eat without a screen. Close the laptop when your spirit says stop rather than when the task list ends. These are not small acts. They are acts of revolt. They break the psychological contract you unconsciously sign with pressure. And do the deeper audit. Name the lie beneath the chase. Say it in plain language. I am afraid I will be nothing unless I earn more. I am afraid people will not respect me unless I can show numbers. I am afraid that if I slow down, what I buried will surface. Expose the root. The minute truth is spoken without embellishment, the spell breaks. Money loses its role as anesthetic and becomes what it should have always been, a neutral instrument, not a psychic crutch. Here is the closing truth the world will not teach you. Peace is not the reward for finishing the race. Peace is the condition that makes the race worth running. If you do not build it now, you will not inherit it later. You will simply exchange one form of fear for a shinier one. So when you say, I need more money, complete the sentence honestly, because I think money will finally let me breathe. Then answer yourself with the only sentence that saves a life. I will learn to breathe before I earn, not instead of earning before. Because earning without breathing is self-erasure dressed as discipline. And when the music swells at the end of your story, the question will not be how high you climbed. It will be whether you ever came home to yourself while you were still alive. Peace is the home. Money is a tool. Do not build a palace and die outside its door.